You see these jacked people in the TV and you want to look like them. And guess what? The secret is out. But is it out? Now, I don't want to talk about the special sauce, but we will just talk about solely the training, what they are doing. Not even about them, just the training, have to get jacked. And is this really the thing what's going to get you jacked in general? Let's look at the first one. So the button ropes. It is what they say. Muscle endurance and conditioning. It's not going to get you jacked. It's something what gets you tired. And yeah, it can give you some conditioning, but in the context of hypertrophy or muscle growth, it's probably not the best choice, which is fine because it's their training. We're just looking at if this is the most optimal way to get to the body what they have. Naturally, of course. That's the keyword here. Moving on. Slam balls. Is it really the secret? Well, not really. But they are well explaining that you can use this exercise to get rid of some of your stress. That's all you are going to get. Relieving some stress. Let's move on. To be fair, this exercise, I would consider this almost there, but it's just not there, is the Zercher squat. I actually have a mixed feeling about the Zercher squat because how much weight you can hold in your arm crease compared to how crazy strong your legs are. There's a chance that it's not going to correlate. So why not just progress the weight with your normal squat where you feel comfortable, and then at least you would get jacked legs. I would say this was a close step to get the secret out, but we still didn't get the secret because the Zercher squat is not going to be that. But let's move on. Banded RDL. And I talked about RDL in the past, how great this exercise is, and why the band? Now, you are either training hip extension or hip hinge, or you are training hip abduction. Because right now you are not training hip abduction because it's around your leg. So I'm just going to assume that you are doing hip hinges, and this is for your glutes, which is great. And we were really close to like get a really good exercise, but I'm going to assume that because we are talking about the secret, it couldn't be that because it can't be just a basic Romanian deadlift what worked for decades. You have to throw in a band, and I believe that you don't have to get a fancy exercise just to get a good workout or a good training or even a good exercise, because if it was just a Romanian deadlift, you don't have to assume that, yeah, people are not going to watch it because it's boring. My voice is gone anyway. Traditional deadlift into box jump, just to trick the body, although the body can't be easily tricked because it doesn't see. I mean, you see, but the body doesn't see. It's only going to perceive mechanical tension and yeah, some other stuff. In this context, you're not going to trick your body. Even a plain traditional deadlift in terms of hypertrophy or muscle growth would be sufficient. Your goal is to progress the weight, get really strong within a certain rep ranges, and you're going to look great. And yes, it is challenging your hamstring and the back musculature, but apart from that, the jumps, well, is it necessary? No. Can you add it? Yeah, you can. You also don't have to. Oblique static hold. Now, this is just that, an anti-rotational movement, basically like a stabilization. Is it going to get your obliques jagged? Well, probably not. What you really want to do if you want to grow your muscles is you want to put them through a certain range of motion, even the biggest range of motion in some extent. The muscles are going to go, given that you're progressively overloading. And you can do that with a trunk rotation, even with the cable. Is it in general bad exercise? No, it's still good. But if you want to get jacked, well, okay, I guess there is always a variation what can consider be better, but I don't think so. There could be variations, but in this case, I would consider doing just a rotation is probably better for hypertrophy than just a static hold. Ball hold to knee raise. Again, I made a video about this in the past that if you are just pulling up your knee, then that's going to be your hip flexors and your abs are only stabilizing your body. And yes, it's fine, like you are still going to feel your abs because they are stabilizing, but you need some degree of like spinal flexion, like you have to round your back. So after that, like you are supersetting this one. So you get the ball, 30 seconds, you throw it off, and then you do knee raises. But then again, it's going to challenge your abs when they are stabilizing you. But it's only training your hip flexors, which I'm being a hypocrite, right? Because it's training basically everything, but your hip flexors are going through the range of motion, but not your abs. So what you want to do instead is try to drive your hip closer to your chest. Chest flies are great. Based on the angle, you can hit all parts of the chest, but not with this variation. Even though you want to leave out your shoulder from the exercise, like you don't want to engage your shoulder, just raising your arm up, it's a shoulder flexion. So it's done by your shoulder. Even though you are holding the cables together, it's being done by your shoulder, because your chest essentially is just getting your arm across the body. So once it's done, it doesn't do these kind of motions. So yeah, you are holding the cables, but essentially you are doing an iso hold and then a shoulder flexion. So essentially you are training your shoulder. So what you want to do instead is just set the cable 3 angles. You can hit the bottom, the middle, and the upper part of your chest. Done. It's pretty simple. But it's not fancy. But it's simple. But it's not fancy, but it's effective. Cable rows are okay. Like as long as your arm is next to your side and then you are trying to get it close to your spine, you're going to hit your lats. And there's always this over-engaging your biceps element, but I don't believe in, because if you are just getting your elbow next to your side, it doesn't matter what you do with your biceps anymore, it's already hitting your lats. Although I don't like doing it standing, because there's a chance that you can pull more than what you can hold with your legs. But in general, this is at least a good one. Biceps. Find you an exercise what's going to get your arms jacked. Nothing fancy here, it's just a regular biceps curl. I don't even want to talk about this, it's great. Dips. They're really good. Based on the angle how you position your body, you can hit your lower chest more, or you can hit your triceps. This is an excellent exercise, and finally, you are getting close to be jacked. Side raise to front raise in like 3 ways. So you do one on the side, midway onto the front. So you are essentially training the mid delt, and then still mid and front delt, and then front delt. Now it's true that most people don't need additional work on their anterior delt or front delt, because they get it from bench press or like any kind of pushing. But if you see this exercise selection, and no, we didn't see into their training program, we just saw like 1 or 2 exercises from each one of them. So you can't really say that, okay, maybe there's a chance that they need extra work on them because they're not doing that much for their front delt. But in this case, if it's like applying to you, as in getting jacked, maybe you don't need to do that. You can just do a rear delt row and then a side lateral raise. And that's it. You're going to get those 3D sexy shoulders. I do believe that the goal of the video was to show you some fancy exercises with some modifications, because the basics are boring, but I do believe that they are spending more time on the basics rather than doing these fancy exercises, because otherwise you wouldn't watch the video, which is bullshit. You would still watch the video, but at least you get some honesty. At least that's my opinion. So if you only focus on progressing, like even just the basic exercises, let's say that if you don't have anything in your gym, you're going to look fucking great. At the end, they still had like a good message that you have to be consistent, you have to show up. So I'm going to give it to them, which is true. And don't even think that for a second that they don't know how to train, because just the secret sauce is not going to get you this jacked. So they are like disciplined, and their training is on point. So you don't have to assume that just because of this video is out, they are doing something that's like silly, because I actually don't believe that. You probably shouldn't believe that either. If you have anything to add, just please leave a comment. If you like the video, make sure to like it. I haven't done like a critique like this in my life, at least not on YouTube. So I might do this like here and there. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying the content. I'm going to see you in the next one.